That's the sound of the man working on the chain gang.
Can you hear me say it?
Keep it right there. Yeah. Come on. Sweet. Sing for me.
Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Swaggy Vets Podcast. I'm your host, Big Pan. I got my co-host and my best friend, Henry, first Swaggy Veteran. What's up, baby?
What's going on, Big Pan? What's going on, Swaggy Vets, all our friends and family? How y'all doing out there?
Hey, man, we had an amazing time at Daytona. We went down, shook some hands, kissed some babies, got with the VFW. Hey, footage is coming out soon, so make sure y'all check it out. And our next thing is the Tough Mudder. So make sure if y'all want to tap in and come hang out with the Swaggy Veteran crew, it'll be on April 26th in Atlanta, Georgia. So link will be in the description. Y'all come out. All right, we got a special guest.
Very special guest.
Our next guest is one of our boys we've been knowing over 15 years now. 15 years. It's a long time. But we're going to bring to the stage U.S. Army veteran Imari Trice. What's up, my man?
Yeah, we've been riding for a minute, man. We've been riding for a minute.
Yep. All right, I got to do the intro for you, man. All right, our next guest, U.S. Army veteran from Detroit, Michigan, Imari Trice. Despite a fear of heights, he spent nearly a decade and a half in service as a 92 Romeo, which is a parachute rigger. With over 5,000 parachutes packed, a self-taught computer whiz, Imari traveled the world experiencing life in places like Germany, Italy, Thailand, Japan, and South Korea, just to name a few. Beyond this impressive military career, he's an extreme advocate for veterans, dedicating his time to ensuring they get the support they deserve. Welcome to the show, Imari.
What's good? What's good, man?
Hey, man.
Great to have you, Imari.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate y'all having me. Hey, shout out to the Swaggy Vets fan, man. I appreciate y'all, man.
Hey.
I love what y'all doing, man. I love what y'all doing. I check out your podcast every now and then to see what y'all doing. I really do appreciate what y'all doing out here, man.
Yeah. We're big advocate for veterans, and that's our passion. That's the whole reason we got this movement, man. So my brother called me up and says, hey, man, we need to do XYZ. I said, I'm on board. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So, man, like I said in the intro, you're from Detroit, Michigan. So what's some, kind of defining moments in the D that help shape your work ethic and hustle?
Hey, that's the key word right there, Detroit. If you associate any word with Detroit, it's always going to be hustle. Detroit hustle is known, man. That's what we do. You learn resiliency. You learn how to make it in this world. You learn from the school of hard knocks, no matter what. So I think that growing up Detroit, man, I no matter where I was in the world, no matter where I was in the Army, I always brought that mentality with me, that resiliency, that if you fall down, you stand back up, you man up, dust off, and just keep it pushing, man.
Now, we talked and you said, your values, and your mom taught you that if you got skill, you got money. Let's talk about that.
So my mom, man, she come from a different time. My mom comes from she come from the old school, and we ain't always have it. But if what you do have, what you do have inside of your head, you got something. So if you didn't have no money, which most of the time we didn't, but if you had a skill, you got money. You take that skill, like I was saying before, we had this motto called each one teach one. And this is from what I was coming. This comes from my dad's generation. If you got a skill, you don't charge somebody money for that skill. You teach somebody that skill and teach them how to succeed, because you can't change the world, but you can change that person next to you. So my mom she always hustled. She always hustled. So even if we ain't have it, we had food on the plate. We had clothes on our backs. We figured out a way to make it. So even as I was growing up, I always had that mentality that even if you got a job, you also got something on the side where you're making some extra little cash on the side. You making something happen. You stay out of trouble and you just keep it pushing. Take care of your family.
There you go. And then your dad showed you what it means to be a man. How did these lessons influence you in your military career and after your service?
One of the things that I picked up from my dad is that you have to have a mentor. And if you have a mentor, you can become a mentor.
Hey.
And in the military, not everybody come from the same beginnings. Everybody come from all over the place. And, not everybody had a mentor. So if you have the opportunity to mentor some of these younger soldiers and teach them things, because a lot of things they didn't get taught at home. A lot of these guys came in when they were 18 years old. They haven't really experienced life. They didn't know how to, like, simple stuff. Like they didn't know how to buy a car. They didn't know how to get a credit card. You know how it is. These guys was coming out here and going over out in Fort Bragg to a lot of those places and getting a loan for 32% interest and rolling out with $500 payment for a beater, and we had to teach these guys, listen, that's don't do that. We had to teach. So a lot of time, growing up with my dad, he always had this kind of way of turning everything into a lesson, and I hated it when I was younger, but you realize that every opportunity that when you come in and you turn something as a lesson, you had all these lessons that you were learning, you were picking up all this knowledge, and you were retaining all this information without even knowing it. So I try to channel that into my military career, where I would mentor young soldiers and help some of these young men, some of these young women out, and give them the experiences that I had, so they don't make the mistakes that I was making.
That's awesome, man. That's good.
So Imari, you joined the military when, in the 60s?
Well, consider that I wasn't even born in the 60s. No. It's crazy. I got into the military right after 9/11. So
okay.
that was in 2002. September 2002, and I was in March of 2003. So it was right after that, like when they were still trying to figure it out. I remember being in basic training, and this is how fresh it was in my head. I remember being in trade, and they on April 1st, on April Fool's Day, they had this they decided to play a joke on us and tell us that we were all they were just cutting down the training and we were all about to get deployed.
Oh Lord.
And I remember when the war first started, I remember that speech that George Bush came. I was in basic training. I remember that speech that George Bush came saying that the war was over and it had just started.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, it was around that time.
So what was the reason that you think inspired you to join the military? And at what point did you realize it was going to be something bigger in your life?
It's not as glorious of a story. It wasn't more necessarily out of inspiration. It was more out of necessity. And like a lot of young people, you needed an option, and the military presented itself as an option to me. I had college debt and things like that. So the military presented me an opportunity where I could go ahead and I can get a job and I could take care of my family, because I had a little boy at that time. And I think I signed up for 2 years, but 2 years is always 8 years. And after the first 2 years, I was like, man, this is easy, And I was getting promoted like that, and I was moving up through the ranks. So it was easy. So I stayed in.
Mm-hmm. And then, you initially came in as a rigger.
Yeah, I came in as a rigger. I was always a rigger.
Always a rigger. And I know, for me, like being airborne operations, the riggers dealt with a lot of stress.
Yeah. One of the things that you realize is and I guess I didn't really see this in the beginning, because when I was in South Korea, which was my first duty station, when I was in South Korea, we didn't have a lot of there wasn't a lot of opportunities for drugs. And wasn't a lot of people. But when I left there and I came back to the States, and I was in Alaska, I was at Fort Bragg and places like that, you realize the effects of that drugs had on the Army. And this was, around like 2007, 2008, around that time frame. And things changed a lot. I think a lot of things changed, and that effect that it had on the military, a lot of that stuff kind of changed, and it progressed into something that was a little bit different. What a lot of people don't know is, if you've been around rigger, or you served in units that had rigger units on there, people are always saying that the riggers were always getting in trouble, or the riggers are always popping hot for drugs. But a lot of people don't understand, we test more than anybody else in the Army. We test for drugs. We have four random 10% tests for drugs, UPL tests. We have 4 of them a month, and then we have 100% every single month. So it wasn't necessarily that it was more riggers that were getting caught doing drugs. It was we test more, so it was more riggers getting caught. If they tested the Army like that, it would probably a lot more people in the Army that would be having the same problem. But the effect of the mission from that particular aspect is, like, say for instance, it's Friday. We're getting ready for that safety briefing. Everybody's sitting there ready to go home for the weekend and do that thing. And then you get a call from battalion, from the UPL. And that goes down to the commander. And the commander just found out that one of the soldiers pop hot for drugs. At that point, that safety briefing is over now. That's not happening anymore. That safety brief is over. And just like we talked about, that one rigger who packed 25 parachutes a day, 125 parachutes a week, all those got to be popped. Every single one of them. Everything that soldier popped that's inside of the cages, all those got to be popped. And guess what? We still got to make mission. So all those parachutes that got popped, they got to be repacked. So you got to get somebody to repack those parachutes. So it got to the point where, the higher you got up and the higher, the more position you had, the more soldiers you had in there, it went from being in a leadership role to kind of feeling like a babysitter.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So once you also mentored a female soldier who battled with depression and later became a warrant officer. Can you tell us about that story?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say her name because I haven't talked to her about that. And it was something that just kind of, I had forgotten about that. And I ran into her here and found out she had taken a lot of the advice. And she had a problem when she had battled. She was battling depression. One of the things that I did realize is the Army has a lot of resources, and as far as that, we got a lot of things where we just kind of check the block. But when it comes down to getting seen, getting talk to somebody, if you have that mentality where you're not being prosecuted for, not necessarily prosecuted, but just kind of ostracized for taking care of your mental health needs, because a lot of times in the military you perceive it as weak for taking care of your mental health needs. But she had the opportunity to do that, and she had the opportunity to do it private, and I made sure that she had the opportunity to do that, and she was able to deal with some things. And over the years, she kind of came to me, and then she's still in the military now, and she still comes to me and she still talks to me and asks me for advice to kind of help her out with her career. But, it's like one of those things where you talk to somebody because you wanted to talk to them and you didn't really think about it. You didn't really think about how much it impacted. And I didn't find out till years later how much that had actually impacted her.
Hey, I've always wondered, Imari. So you guys, and it's a little backwards. So you guys go to Airborne school right out of AIT. Or not AIT, but you go to Airborne school right out of basic training.
So it wasn't always like that. So
really?
What people find, so I don't know. Did you go to Airborne school?
Yeah.
Okay. So I never knew if you were Airborne. I knew John was Airborne. I never knew if you were Airborne.
It's all good, brother.
I was about to call you a leg until you said that. But
Big Pen was everything.
The pass-fail rate at Airborne school is really low.
Yeah.
So they created, especially because they were bringing in riggers, so they created this thing called the Airborne Orientation Course.
Okay.
So once you come out of basic, well, actually, even while you're in basic, they take you and put you in a special running program, because when you go there, you got to run. So if you're not used to running, then so they put you, while you're in basic, you do separate PT from the rest of the people if you're going to go to Airborne school. So you start off and they teach you how to, they get you in physical shape, where you can run. When you get in airborne school, 3 weeks before airborne school, they have this thing called Airborne orientation course, where you go into an actual school to get you ready for airborne school, where you're still doing the same thing. You're doing the pull-ups, you're doing the, building up that upper body strength and learning how to run, building up your core. You're doing all the stuff to get you ready for airborne school. So by the time you get, and this is part of your AIT. So as a rigger, we're in AIT for 17 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we do 3 weeks of airborne orientation course, 3 weeks of airborne school, and then we go learn how to be a rigger. And then you go to your
okay. Oh, okay. I thought it was, I don't know why, but I thought it was you go to basic and then you go right into airborne school. I didn't know you had an orientation. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, they got airborne orientation. I don't know if they're still doing that. I mean, but that was back in 2003. I don't know if I'm pretty sure they're still doing that. But I mean, like I said, if the pass fail rate was really low, I mean, it was really beneficial for people to learn so that they can increase that level.
I got you. Okay.
So what was it like? So you tell us about when you was DJing in high school.
Well, I started DJing. I started DJing back. This was the 80s. This was everybody wanted to be a DJ or a rapper. You either wanted to be a DJ or a rapper back in the 80s, because it was there was the hip hop scene was just starting to take off. So I was broke as hell, so I didn't have any equipment. I didn't have anybody to learn. I didn't have anything. So my dad had a friend that owned a nightclub, and he used to let me come in there. And I was a young teenager. I was like 17 years old. He used to let me come in there, and of course they didn't let me drink. They made sure they kept the close out and kept me out of trouble. But I was standing there by the DJ watching the DJ, and I was obsessed with just watching this guy. And we talked every now and I got to know the guy, and he would always see me. And one day he just kind of asked me, he's like, "You a DJ?" I was like, yeah, I'm a DJ. I told the dude I was a DJ. I ain't never DJ a day in my life. But and over time we kind of got to talking. One day he had to go to the bathroom, or he had to go somewhere or something. He asked me to kind of take the tables. I got on there. I had watched this dude so much. I had memorized his whole entire thing. And I sat there and this became a regular thing. He would take breaks to go talk to girls, or he'd take breaks to go get some drinks or talk, whatever. And I just came in there, and just kind of held it down. I wasn't getting paid for it or nothing.
That's cool.
So when this guy left, and he had he got his own club, the DJ, he got his own club. The guy who owned it asked me to take his place. And I was like 18 years old. And he asked me to take his place. By then I knew what I was doing. This guy gave me, well, he didn't give me, he let me use the equipment. And that was my first set of equipment that I had until I was able to save up enough money and start buying my own equipment. And I DJed there for a long time. And then I took that with me when I went to the military. I had my stuff. I DJed in every country that I ever lived in while I was in the military the whole time.
What was the first country you DJed in?
South Korea.
Now, was there a lot of Koreans at the club when you DJed?
Oh yeah. So I was in Busan, South Korea, and once you kind of get to know, and it was crazy too, because they just hear this DJ from Detroit. They don't know who you are. They just famous. So I would have people. They just assume me famous. Man. I would have people coming in asking me for autographs. They would buy me drinks and all taking pictures with me, all kind of stuff. They didn't know who I was. They just like, hey, he's a famous DJ from Detroit. They didn't know who the hell I was. I remember when I was in Italy, my wife she wasn't my wife at the time, but Mara, she would sit there and she would have people coming on taking pictures. She would bring people up and they were taking pictures of me, and they just they just assumed I was somebody famous. That's when I had bought that Mustang, and I had it parked out in front of the club, and they had it sectioned off with the velvet ropes and the tape.
Oh man!
On my car that was sitting out there.
That's crazy. Now, how did you balance all that with military life? Are you DJing? Was it hard?
Not really. Most of the time, I mean, it's like you kind of had to roll the dice a lot of times, because one of the problems that I would have, especially I DJ'd a lot when I was in Italy. Almost every single weekend I was DJing when I was in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing a set and having to stop the set to go get a soldier out of jail because this guy had got in he had got a DUI.
Oh,
so it just became, and eventually it became a thing where it was like, all right, if you get arrested on a Friday, we'll see you on Monday. It just became a thing. So, I had an opportunity, it was like I said, it was mostly on the weekends, and it was at night. So it wasn't really, it wasn't really a big deal. So it was, I had a lot of opportunities to DJ when I was there.
You know what? Because me and you hung out when we was in Italy, and it didn't make sense to me till now that why you was over by Aviano, because you're a rigger, and that's where we jumped out of. I was like, why isn't he in Vicenza with all of us?
Somebody got smart, and this was right before I got there, because the riggers used to be in Vicenza.
Yeah.
So they would every time they would have to go and jump, they would have to send the riggers TDY. Yeah. to support the people. So somebody got smart and realized, okay, we spending all this money in TDY sending these soldiers down here. Why don't we just get them set up on the base on the base on Aviano? So they built us a facility on the Aviano Air Force Base,
mm-hmm.
and that's where we stayed. It was a good life too.
I bet it's Air Force Base.
We had those sergeant major running around talking about, get off my grass.
Hey, so DJ in the military, did you ever find a moment where you feel like, hey, it kind of boosted morale for the soldiers too?
So there were times where I had there were times when I had an opportunity to DJ on base a couple times, and it has it, it was kind of a going back and forth kind of thing, because you never really know. It depends on being a DJ. A lot of people don't understand when you're a DJ is that you don't just play all music. You don't just play every single type of music. You're not an iPad. You're not an iPod. You don't. So somebody can't just come in there. Everybody want to hear their favorite song. It gets difficult because we have so many different. The military is just a big giant melting pot. So you had all these people, everybody want to hear their own kind of music. So if I'm sitting there and I'm a house DJ from Detroit. So you come to me and ask me to play country. I don't have no country. You come to me to play your favorite pop song. I don't have that. So it kind of had its ups and downs, but I did have an opportunity to DJ some basketball games and, some different events where the genre was specific, where you can play something. And that was pretty cool, and I DJ'd like a couple mixers and stuff like that. And that was pretty cool, but,
Did you, what place do you think was the craziest to DJ? You're just like, man, I'm getting a lot of love, or you felt, dang, this is surreal?
So one is Germany. Germany is as far as with house music, is huge in Germany, and having an opportunity to get an American DJ, especially somebody who was from that kind of, that Midwest kind of flavor, where we did like the Chicago style, the Detroit style, that was huge for them. So that was really good. But I think the biggest thing for me was DJing in Italy. Italy it's not like you just this DJ that's sitting in the background playing. Say you're on a stage in Italy, like it's thousands of people standing. It's a big giant crowd. Like you are the entertainment. So in addition to making a buttload of money, you sitting there like, you're king for the day. That's how you feel. You sitting there on the stage with a whole bunch of people. I had the opportunity to DJ New Year's Eve, Carnival Day, with like Carnival and like Mardi Gras in Detroit, New Orleans, and I had the opportunity to DJ. I had a regular gig at this place called Umami Cafe where I came there all the time. And I was always a guest DJ, but I was there regularly a lot. And they really, the love that I got from those places, it was something. It's like going back in the archives in your mind where you're like, Mom, I made it, It felt good,
Now, at any point, did you think to yourself, man, I'm making more money in DJing than I am in the military. Maybe I need to I need to think about something.
The military afforded me the opportunity to be in those places, so it was
Yeah.
kind of hand in hand. It wasn't necessarily like, okay, I want to do this. The military afforded me the opportunity to be in those places and travel around in different places. So it kind of went hand in hand. I really did enjoy, as much as I could look back on a lot of different things in the military. One of the things that the military gave me is the opportunity to see the world. I spent probably the majority of my career overseas.
Okay.
So I had an opportunity to learn different languages. Hell, I met my wife in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of went hand in hand. I never really thought about, quitting to DJ because, they were kind of together.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So then how was it like, Imari, when you when it was time to transition from the military to your civilian life? Did you have how was that for you?
Man, so in the beginning, when you make that decision, all right, I'm ready to hang up my ACUs, BDUs, I don't know what they're wearing now. When you kind of get to that opportunity where you decide, all right, this ain't really for me, I'm gonna move on to something else. In the beginning, it's scary. It's like with all people, it's scary because you don't know what's next. You've been doing this for so long that, it's kind of scary. And in the beginning, it was kind of, but I think one of the opportunities that I had is one, I was already set. I was set financially. I already had a house, I didn't come in like I was going to come in and struggle. So financially I was good, but you have to learn when you get out of the military, you have to learn a routine because you got used to getting up every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. You got used to going straight to work. You got used to breakfast, lunch, dinner. Everything was function. You have to keep that function. If you don't, it becomes difficult, or the transition becomes difficult because it's like you're sitting here, it's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. You have this period of time when you feel guilty, you feel stagnant. If you're not doing something that you're gonna, that you're too stagnant, you can't do that. And it took me a minute to learn how to let that go and just, start living my life because I always felt like I had to go. Because for years, that's essentially what I was doing. But I had an opportunity and I met this group of veterans, and we would go to this coffee shop and we would sit down at this coffee shop, and these guys were the ones that told me how to put together my disability claim. These are the guys that told me about the different veterans programs, and these are the guys that taught me how to do all of the stuff that that post military life, that a lot of people, they don't have an opportunity to get this information. One of the things that I found out more that really benefited me was the vocational rehabilitation program. And that particular program, that if you come out and you're looking for a job, one, they help you do a job. They help you find a job. They help you fill out your resume. They help you, they help you edit your resume. But on top of that, if you don't have the education level that you need for the job that you're trying to pursue, they send you to school to do that. And they gave me the opportunity to go ahead and finish my master's degree.
Oh, that's awesome.
And paid for it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things I had when I was transitioning out is a routine.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to a certain structure. And then, oh man, now I'm out. I got this time on my hands, and I didn't know kind of what to do because I'm used to such a structure. And on top of that, I really should have took a knee and faced out, but I didn't. I went right to work, man.
I did too.
Yeah, man. But the thing was, I did a job. I went to the oil fields and I worked there.
Ooh.
Yeah. Went to the oil fields, and it's a very lonely job out there, especially hauling oil because you're by yourself. You're not really on a team like you used to in the military. So I was working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, and that really took a toll on me, man. I was really depressed.
Yeah. And I think that having a support system, like one of our brothers say, we all we got. And he always said that, which is true, man. And we all look out for each other and having that support system. I think the biggest part of transition is one of the things you realize when you leave the military, whether you had a positive effect or a negative effect, you still came out with a brotherhood. That brotherhood gives you the opportunity to find some of the information that you didn't even know. Like one day, John told me about the license plate, the veterans license plate.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know anything about that. I didn't even know that I could get it until I got it, and I didn't realize the opportunities you have and the benefits you have from having that. So he was one that kind of told me that information about, and it's the same thing about your taxes if you get 100%. I didn't know that information. So having other veterans come in and tell you, just like you said, getting up in the morning, still doing PT, don't stop. If because my idea when I got in the military, the first thing I said, well, I'm gonna travel, I'm gonna relax. I lasted 2 days. And I lasted 2 days, and I started a business as a contractor. And if you don't know about riggers, we jump more than anybody in the military. We constantly jump. Whereas a lot of times y'all just jump to stay current. If you're in the infantry or some of the other airborne units, y'all jump to stay current. We jump constantly, and we not jumping. We not jumping no halo parachutes. We jumping static line with 150, 250. I'm exaggerating, but you got a lot of 80 pounds on your back that you got stuff like that. So you're putting a lot of stress on your knees. You're putting a lot of stress on your back. You're putting a lot of stress on your neck and stuff like that. So when you get out and you just sit down, that's gonna kind of start to take a toll on you. So me having an idea that I was gonna be a contractor, building houses and stuff like that, wasn't the best idea in the world, because I put a lot more stress on it. So like you said, at some point you do have to understand when it's time to take care of your health and focus on your health and focus on your mental health and all of that stuff.
I always said, I really think riggers make excellent jump masters because you guys know that parachute in and out.
I do believe that too, because it's pretty much, if you're a rigger and you make E6, you're going to be a jump master. That's as soon as you make E6, well, as soon as you make E5, really. As soon as you make E5, you're going to become a jump master. But as soon as you make E6, you're going to be on the drop zone. Yeah. And that's a lot of time we end up pulling duties. As soon as you make E6, you end up pulling duties. So either you're going to be the issue NCO, you're gonna, the person who counts in the issues out the pair, or you're gonna be you're gonna be out on the zone on the drop zone pulling DZ. So it was just, it was kind of like a thing, because if you had a parachute, you met a rigger. If you jumped out of parachute, you met a rigger. If you had a safe jump, thank a rigger. If you didn't have a safe jump, then it's your fault. It wasn't us.
I remember when I was in 1508, I was in the FSC, and they said, we want Sergeant Pennington to be, the shoot issue in CYC. And I did it real good one time. And then after that, for some reason, I was always in shoot issue in CYC. So I got real acquainted with all the riggers, man. I was able to build some good relationships, and I really leaned on them heavily. I remember we had a JFEX, and I had to issue out 1,300 parachutes, man. And we did, 15 centerline turn-ins on Sicily, and there was a lot of riggers out there that helped me out, and I was really, really grateful for that.
Riggers are a lot of people don't realize it, but it's only a few thousand riggers. It's not riggers. It's not huge. So if you're a rigger, you probably know almost all the other riggers. If you served as a rigger, you probably work with almost all the other riggers that served during that time. So we're a close knit. We're a close knit family. We kind of always kind of look out for each other. But because of all the things that also surround us, we also have to look out for each other. So we had that, we kind of had that thing where we kind of always have to keep the other brothers in line, keep them out of trouble, keep them away from stuff. So it's just one of those things that just kind of happened out of necessity.
So you also, while you was running your business, you was raising your son, you also was going to school as well, correct?
The worst ideal of my life.
Because I think you went back to school in your 40s.
Yeah, that was in hindsight, it wasn't a good idea, but like I said, the military teaches you resiliency. Detroit taught me resiliency. You learn how to bounce back. And I remember going to class and not having a babysitter and talking to my professor and telling my professor, listen, I don't have a babysitter. I can't make him to class. And she was like, how old is your kid? I said, well, he was 3. He was 3 or 4 back then. And it's like, just bring him. It's like, for real? Yeah, just bring him. He got an iPad. Give my iPad. Put some headphones on. Just bring him. She let me bring. Like a couple times, I didn't take advantage of that. But a couple times I brought my kid to class, and she always looked out. And then I had this neighbor. Her husband was a veteran, and she would watch my son while I was taking my tests. Sometimes, so she would watch my son and look out for him while I was doing that. So it was a hard thing to do. It was necessary because it was a necessary goal that I had told myself I was going to do. I told myself I was going to get my master's. That was something that I wasn't going to sleep on. And in 2017, I finally finished it and I was done. But when it was time, they were talking about going back and doing some more. I was like, nah, tap out. I'm done. Like, that's it. I can't do no more. I don't ever want to see another school, because being in your 40s, being a veteran, going into civilian life, you don't have the same patience that you used to have. Like I was old dude in the class, and I just didn't have the patience for some of the, some stuff. But I also had everything else going. I was running my business, and I was, and all of that stuff. So it was, it was a hard thing to do, but it was something that I could always look back and be proud of to say that I did.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. I'm actually going through my master's now, and I tell you, it's not an easy process.
It really ain't. We ain't those kids anymore, man. And we think we can go back and we can do a lot of the same stuff that we can't do. I still every time I drive to the hole, I still think I'm about to hit that rim, and my vertical body ain't going no more.
Listen, Imari, listen, when I first met Imari.
Oh, no, we ain't telling that story. We ain't telling that story.
For some reason, Imari, I don't know. Imari, this grown man across the street, like got all the power tools you can think of, all the sports cars, just getting sports cars weekly, just trading them in. Like, man, one day, this how man, he just one day I come across the street, he's gonna ask me, let's race. I think
that ain't how that happened. We had known each other for a long time before we did that.
Wait, was it on foot or by car?
It was on foot.
Like,
man.
On an actual street. He just decided he wanted to race.
We were at my house at a barbecue. We're gonna tell the story. We gotta tell it right. We were at my house at a barbecue, and me and John was sitting there. Me and John. We talk smack to each other back and forth. We've been doing this. We compete on everything. We go back and forth. But John, that's my brother. That's just what we do. We talk junk and we go at each other all the time. I told John, I was like, come see me on this track. And in my head, because I'm used to beating people, I would do this to my soldiers. This is a normal thing I used to do to my soldiers. I tell you, listen, all right, I will stop this smoke session. You take me on a sprint. If you beat me, smoke session over. Every time I would beat him. So in my head, I was gonna win. I was about to take this young dude, and I was about to give him that work.
Oh Lord!
When I tell you, John run like a crackhead with a TV on his shoulder.
Yep, that's it.
It wasn't even like it wasn't even like it was a race. It was like a 3-year-old trying to race his daddy. and I sit there and I took off. I had the first step. I took out. I looked back at John. I was like, got him. And all of a sudden John was like, shoot. I was like,
oh man. I laughed that day. I said I had to ask him. I said, "What made you think you could beat me?" Because I don't know why he just challenged me. He was like, I said, but I had to ask him. He was like, "Well, you look kind of big."
I didn't think I thought I had him. And then I didn't. And then I didn't.
I thought I had him.
I still do it. I still do it, man, to this day. I still do. I ain't gonna say to this day. I mean, I'm 51 now. People be sitting there talking about, you want to sprint? I'm like, nah.
No.
Nah.
Not even.
Nah. My wife's brother, my brother-in-law came down here and he got to talking smack about basketball. I took him outside and gave him that work. I mean, just took him outside, gave him that work. But I might have won the game. But I might have won the battle, but I didn't win the war because I was down for about a week after that.
Woke up the next day like, what is going on?
Oh, man, I was feeling it. I gave him that work, though. But after that, I had to sit down for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of what I was talking about. Like, you know, as veterans, we got to take care of our body. I think I'm blessed to be able to still get out here and sprint with some young boys. And I think I'm blessed to be able to go out here and still play basketball with some of the, you know, the young boys across the street, or go to the gym and play with it. You know, I'm blessed to be able to do that because in the military gave us that physical ability to where we're older now, but we're still in good shape and we can still do those things. So I think that I'm blessed to be able to do that. But at the same time, you got to know your limits.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know your limits. I ain't raced John since then.
It's a marathon, not a race now.
Yeah.
Slow pace. Just keep the slow pace.
I will keep the pace though. I will keep that pace, but I'm not gonna sprint. I'm not gonna sprint with John no more.
So Imari, so you relied on the VA. You mentioned about the veteran groups that you used to go and talk with, and also some people in the community that help you along with school. You know, some friends, some teachers. What do you think? There's some resources that you think that are highly underrated that veterans don't take advantage of?
When you first get out the military, the first thing you need to do is go to ebenefits.gov and sign up automatically. Go here, go to that website and sign up. Almost every single opportunity that you can find it has so many different resources. VA.gov too. Go onto that website. There's so many resources that are on there. I learned about the vocal rehab program on there. You know, I learned about the vocal rehab program. And so there are so many opportunities, like if you want to continue education, if you need financial advice, you know, at the same time too, when you go to your local VA hospital and sign up for healthcare. You know, go there and sign up for healthcare. If you don't have TRICARE, you know, if you don't have TRICARE for life, even at, you know, if you PCS, you still, if you've been in for more than 8 years, you can still sign up for free VA healthcare. They pay for my glasses. They mail my medication to my house. I got a yearly annual checkup. I get to go in and see my healthcare provider. They maintain all of that stuff. So these are things that are provided for you as veterans, you know, so go out, you know, go to the website, check out everything on there. And at the same time, if you have an opportunity to sit down with some of these veterans, not every group of people, because you got a lot of disgruntled veterans and they're not gonna always give you the correct information. But if you find an opportunity where you can sit down and you got some guys that have some information, they can tell you and they know what they're talking about, you know, spend some time with these guys, learn some things, because, you know, like you said, we all have the opportunity to teach each other, to make sure that all of us can get this information, because it's a lot of resources out there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So we talked about before, Imari, the each one teach one philosophy. You know, was there a moment in your life where you actually saw that come full circle? Like you saw that?
Well, like I said, I always had the motto in my head that you can't change the world, but you can change the people around you. Me and, you know, John, if John come to me and John say, listen, man, let's go build a house, I'm not going to ask John no questions. I'm going to go say, all right, this is what we need to get. This is the list. I'm not going to ask John for no money. I'm not going to ask John for nothing. And that's how we always been. If John come to me and say, you know, hey, man, let's go build some stuff for my room, you know. I don't ask no questions. I just say what you
Yeah.
need, brother. I got you. So, you know, if anything that if any one of my brothers ever wanted to learn, I can come there and I can come to your house and I can help you build anything you want to build. But if you come to me and you say, I want to learn how to build something, I'm gonna teach you.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of opportunity to see a lot of people that I've taught things. I know a good friend of mine. I knew her a long time ago, and I taught her how to do web design. And now she's got her own web design company. And she's got her own web design company. And I remember that I taught her how to do that. And it feels real good because I'm not, you're not looking for no kickbacks. You're not looking for something to come back to you. You're not looking for anything. You just, you had the opportunity to teach somebody and make their life better. And you did it. That's all the reward I need.
I like it, man. What's one of the biggest lessons the military's taught you that you still apply today?
Resiliency.
Hey, I like it.
Resiliency, man. I think that when you sit back and you look at life and you look at all the challenges that you faced, and then you look at the things that help you get past those challenges. One of the things that I remember, never in a million years, like you started off calling me out saying I had a fear of heights. I jumped out of, you know how many times I jumped out of an airplane?
Mm-hmm.
That's resiliency, man.
Yeah, it is.
Being able to face your fears, overcome your fears, and to be able to get out and keep doing something, even though everything in your body's saying, this is stupid. Why are we jumping out of this airplane? The pilot, why can't I land with him? It's one of those things where you kind of, you kind of get this idea in the military is like, everything ain't always gonna go your way. Everything ain't always gonna work out the way that you think, but you got to keep it pushing. You can't just sit back and just be like, oh man, I failed. You got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and you got to keep going. All the times when we did 20Ks, we did 20K ruck marches with all that weight on our backs. You was tired, but you didn't stop. All the times we were doing PT, when we were running, and Sergeant Major decided he wanted to run for 8 miles for some stupid reason. Because I don't know, maybe he was mad at his wife. I don't know. But you was tired. You wanted to stop, but you kept running. Because that's what's put inside your head. Your head don't tell you you're going to quit. Resiliency is going to kick in, and you're just going to keep it pushing.
So that's some really good life lessons, man. So if you could go back, what was it, John, 1960? If you go back to 18-year-old Imari. You could go back to 18-year-old Imari and give some advice right now. What would you tell him?
I would go, if I had to go back to 18-year-old Imari, I would go back and tell him that this ain't the complete picture. Okay. That everything that I was looking at when I was 18 and I was feeling like this was life, it was nowhere close to the bigger picture. Having the opportunity to travel the world, and when you live in other countries, you learn different lessons that when you are always in the same community, around all the same people, around the same type of things, you kind of get fixated that this is the way life is and this is the way things are. But when you have opportunity to see other parts and other cultures and the way they interact, the way they process things, the way they do things, you learn that your way of life ain't the only way of life. And you gain a perspective that kind of makes you look at things differently. It makes you do things. It makes you walk differently, And I think that if I had the opportunity to go back and tell myself, I would tell myself, this ain't it. It's way more to life than this. Open your mind. The biggest lesson I would tell myself is close my mouth and open my ears. Just
I like that.
Just start observing, start absorbing things, start bringing more things in that I'm putting out,
I think one of the many things that I love about the military is if I would have never came in, I would have never met an Imari. I would have never met a John, I would have never met the circle that we have, and it still helps me to this day, all my brothers, whether I'm having a bad day, I talk to John, talk to the group, or having a good day. I like to, tell everybody my victories as well as my defeats. So it's really good to have that outlet too, man. And we just meet people from all walks of life, and I really love that, man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that I met people that can make me better, only because they were doing better themselves or something, an area of my life that I probably didn't even knew I could grow. When I walked up to Imari house, Imari had every power tool you can think of.
They had a Home Depot in his garage.
Man, and I would say, I'm gonna go buy this. He was like, why are you gonna buy it if I got it? Why are you gonna buy it if I was like,
remember what you told me though? Remember what John told me? And I live for I'm telling you, John has said some stuff that stuck with me. John told me one day, if you gotta borrow something from somebody more than once, you need to buy your own. That's what John used to tell me. I would tell John, just come get mine. I would tell John all the time, just come get mine. John was like, nah. John was like, if you got to borrow from somebody more than once, go get your own.
That's true. I still feel the same way today. But Amari, I love Amari's heart because he didn't want to hear that. You know what I mean?
Nah.
He was just saying, because Amari always had a combat. He was like, even if you buy it, you ain't gonna know how to use it. Who said that?
It's true.
It is true. Like,
you don't buy the shit, you ain't know how to use it.
Yeah, he was saying that. Like, if you buy it, you still ain't gonna know how to use it. I gotta come over here anyway. Oh man.
No, but true. You gotta think about it, man. I didn't come up with money. And you didn't have that mentality where, like, if something broke, you're gonna call somebody. We had that mentality. You got to figure it out because you ain't got no money. You ain't got nobody you can call. You had to figure it out. So I grew up with that thing, feeling like I had to learn how to do stuff. If I wanted something, if I wanted to improve my life, if I wanted to do better, man, I had to learn how to do it.
100%.
That was one thing. And when I met Penn had a different type of fly. I walked into the motor pool and I saw Penn had the most crispiest edge I've ever seen since I've been in Fort Bragg.
Even when you saw Penn after the military, that beard, that line, it was crispy. Every time you see, he had that crispy line on it.
Penn would get off work and put on these clean pair of Durango boots, right? but he used the boot blouse from the military to tuck his jeans in, but the jeans.
Oh my God, no he did. No he did.
Hey, they used to make fun of me. They say here Penn come with his heels on, and now they wear boots.
Yeah, I never forget that Penn was he always kept the crispy haircut every time you saw him.
He was so fly. Then he hop in the Stinkin Lincoln.
Yeah. I don't know. I think when I met Penn, he had that white pickup truck. I want to say it was a Ram or it was.
It was gray. It was light gray.
You always had that, yeah. We always had a big boy truck.
Mm-hmm.
That was good, man.
Still got a Ram to this day too.
I still got toys to this day.
Penn had the Stinkin Lincoln sitting on 22s.
Yeah, I did.
Whip it through the company area.
Yeah.
It was crazy because we never interacted, even though we were all together in the military. Besides, I did have an opportunity to work with Penn one time. When Penn was it was when we were on the range.
Okay.
You were the range NCO.
Yeah.
So and I remember shooting a 249. I was shooting a 249 in the rain with everything fogging up, and I couldn't see it. And the Penn was like, "They're the target right there." He was like, "They're the target right there." I was like, "Penn, I can't see nothing." He was like, "There it is right there." We was muddy. We was all out there muddy and everything. Penn was like, "There it is right there." I was like, "I can't see nothing, man." He was like, "Right there."
If anything Penn could have done, it was to be a trainer.
That was the only time. I think that was the only time I had an opportunity to work that we actually interacted in in the work area. And that was the only time because I never ever got a chance to work with any of y'all.
Yeah.
And we just happened to be in Italy at the same time.
Yeah, man. I love It was so
I
much
love
fun.
training, man. If any school I could go back and train, it would be Ranger School. But they tried to give it to me at a point in my career where I was done with, the infantry. So I was like,
Yeah.
nah, y'all giving it to me too late. I'm trying to do other stuff.
Mhm.
I really I think about that too, man. I think the best part I remember about being in the military was teaching classes, teaching,
Mm-hmm.
just the teaching part. I think that was my favorite part is having the opportunity to teach soldiers skills, man. I love being out in the field where a lot of the times the soldiers didn't get an opportunity to learn the stuff that we did because we was in the old army. They didn't get an opportunity to learn. They didn't know how to program a radio, or they didn't know how to build a tent and things like that. Which TA-50. They didn't learn them skills because they wasn't doing that stuff no more.
No.
We were still shining boots and ironing our uniform. So they didn't really get that army. So having the opportunity to sit soldiers down and teach them how to do other skills that they never really would have learned, I think that was great. That was one of my favorite parts about being in the military.
Yeah, right before I got out, this 2019, we went to the field and I was like, all right, we're about to dig some of these hasties and do these range cars. They looked at me like I was a foreigner. Yeah, hasty, what is that? I was like, y'all never done hasties before?
It was crazy too, because like I said, I think I remember building the little shelters with the ponchos. They didn't know how to do
Half
that.
shell, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know how to build the shelters with the ponchos and how to, they didn't know how to do a lot of stuff. Like you said, they didn't know how to program a radio.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy to sit down. You sit right down in front of them. You sit down right, and all of it just comes back. You sit there and you remember everything, how everything comes back. So that was, having those opportunities. That's a lot of things, and I can go back and I could talk. One of the reasons why I decided to go ahead and hang out my hat is because it wasn't beneficial to me anymore. That same joy that I was getting, that joy turned into stress and having to deal with a lot of those soldiers and a lot of their problems and a lot of things that had changed with the drugs. That was one of the reasons I decided to hang my hat up. But I don't regret anything. I don't regret the people that I met. I don't regret the soldiers that I helped. I don't regret any of the opportunities I have, seeing the world, meeting people that I'm going to know for the rest of my life. These are things that I can always look back on and I can always appreciate, and I can always be happy that these things happen. Meeting my brother John across the street. And I'm in that house right now, that same house that I bought. And Franklin with John was right across the street where I met him.
You've been in that house for a minute, brother.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, he bought it. I had bought it, but I didn't know about no house down the street from him.
Yep. Yep. And I worked, and every house John ever had, I worked on. Yeah,
he told me.
Every house John ever had, I worked on.
He said, I got to get Imari to go over here and fix this.
Yeah.
Oh man.
John ain't never had a house I ain't touched.
Oh, that's trust right there.
Yeah,
that's trust, man. I've been always get it done for me. I appreciate you, Imari.
Hey, listen, man. For life, man. I always appreciate y'all, man. No, I mean it go back from the barbecues where we did everything with our kids together, Christmases, Thanksgivings, all the stuff, the barbecues and the smack talking and all of this stuff from all the stuff, man. Listen, I always gonna see y'all as my brothers, man, from day one, man. I always never gonna change.
I remember Imari had a birthday, right? And I said, "What you doing for your birthday?" He said, "Nothing, man. Chill at the house. Come on over." Man, I had invited everybody. Imari met some of the people he know now because they were just popping up, and they were like, "Let's drink." I was like, "At least bring him a bottle."
Yep.
He drink Hennessy.
Man, we had so many bottles. We had so many bottles that we would rotate them every time we would go to somebody else's house and bring them over to the next house. That's how many we had because we were doing that stuff. We've been to. I watched your daughter grow up. 10. You know what I'm saying? I watched. Y'all done known DJ since he was a teenager.
I know, right?
and I think having that kind of thing where our families grew up close to each other and having opportunities to kind of spend the time we got and the memories that we created that we could always sit here and joke about, all of that stuff, this is stuff we're going to have for the rest of our life. And the military afforded us that opportunity.
Oh man, 100%. What are you doing now, Imari? For the listeners.
You're looking at me. Doing it. Listen, I beat
Tell
my
me
body.
about
I beat my
yeah.
body up enough, and now, I turned 50. Well, I'm 51 now. But
Okay.
when I turned 50, I sat back and I did a hard look at my life. I looked at my health and I looked at, a lot of things, and I realized that at some point, and I've been trying to teach John this lesson forever. At some point, you got enough.
Mm-hmm.
You did enough.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to sit back and you got to appreciate the things that you have and enjoy them instead of keep on trying to get more and keep on working for more. You got enough.
Okay.
So right now, I got everything that I could possibly want in life, and I'm taking the opportunity to do more things with my family and travel more and live the life that I worked hard for. Because I worked hard my whole life. I hustled hard. I did everything. So right now I'm enjoying life. I'm having an opportunity to do things I didn't have time to do. I race RC cars. I play Grand Theft Auto. I do. I get an opportunity every year. We go now. Me and my wife would go back to see her family and spend time in Italy, and we get ready to go to Hungary. So it's I'm appreciating the hard work, everything that I put in this life. Now I'm reaping the benefits of. So if you ask me what am I doing now, I'm enjoying life, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about, bro. Enjoying life.
Good. Yeah. And
Yeah,
also,
I'm watching my wife. She's growing as an artist and have an opportunity because I'm sitting in her studio right now. But my wife is growing as an artist and having to be her support and helping her out. It feels good, man, because I got time. I got time to help her grow her career, and she's making magazine covers and all of that stuff. And this for me, being able to just kind of be there for her and help her out, help her grow, and have the time to be able to do that is phenomenal. I love it.
Man, I'm happy for you.
She's turned into the #1 go-to for murals around there.
Yeah, it's just kind of one day it just came out of nowhere. And now when they they don't even interview. They used to have a contest to find out who's gonna do that. They didn't even do the contest. They just call her back to do another one.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's crazy. I mean, watching her flourish in her career and me be able to kind of be there and help her and it feels really good. I'm really enjoying that. It's like I said, being there for my family, watching my kids grow. I'm really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So Imari, I know you was a DJ for a long time, even through high school. So if you could sum your military career up with one song, what do you think what it would be?
Every day I'm hustling. Every day. Hey, got that Rick Ross.
That's it.
Oh,
what's that song? Hey, who's that song? Every time I see us, it don't be about me, it'll be about everybody else. Like I always feel like I got my brothers and my sisters on with it. What's that song they say? Hold up, we them boys.
Hold up. We them boys. I think that's Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah, Wiz Khalifa. That's why I like that song about us, man. That's why I came up with Swaggy Vets. We them boys.
We them boys. Hey, one day I'm gonna have my motorcycle. One day I'm gonna get out there with y'all and ride.
That'd be amazing, man. It's gonna come.
Yeah,
it's definitely gonna come. You're almost there when you just can sit back. I can see with your foggy glasses on and pants trying to you still which direction to go again.
Yeah.
Hey, ain't nothing like that 2-wheel therapy, bro.
Yeah. It was like I had almost done it. I had almost done it back right before Devin was born. I was right there. I was right there, and I was thinking I was gonna do it then. But life sometimes tell you, not right now. Okay, yeah. Life just tell you sometimes not right now. So
man, that's some therapy on 2 wheels. I tell you that. I think everybody before they get a motorcycle be like, every fear in the world could come up, but when you on that thing and you gliding, you be like, man, this is too calming.
Yeah.
This is too common, man. I be on. That's the only thing I would ride with no music, just me in the wind, and I just go.
Yeah.
I ain't got no choice. I got a road king.
You can't even hear the music if you had it.
Yeah.
Well, Pete, you got to get you a nice helmet, a Bluetooth
Yeah.
helmet. You good?
Yeah, I do.
I
one of
gotta
those?
hear. I don't think I can do that because I gotta hear the world around me. I don't know if I could put on a helmet where I'm just can hear just as the music. I think I have to. I gotta hear. I'm too paranoid, man. I think I'm I gotta hear the world around me. I gotta know what's going on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when I do put earphones in, it just be one ear.
Yeah.
One ear open.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time I don't go on long trips. I got my half shell on, so it's real easy to hear everything.
I like long trips.
Yeah, it's good, but I gotta get me a different bike for the long trips because if you go long distance on a Road King, when you get off, you feel like you've been in a fight.
That's what I remember when John told me. I said I was gonna get a sports bike. John was like, "Don't get a sports bike."
No way, sir.
He's like, "Don't get those. We not don't take no long trips in those sports bikes."
No, your bike, your back, legs, everything will be killing you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we went on a long trip one time, and me and John switched bikes. I was on his bike. He had the Farron. He rode mine, and he was riding. And I could tell afterwards that, man, that sucked, Pen.
You fighting everything on the road.
Yeah,
King,
man.
boy.
You know I like my cars, man. I always, since y'all know me, I always like my cars. So I always gotta have a car. And I think I like that luxury and that comfort. So if I did transition to a bike, I want to keep that same type of, that luxury and that comfort.
And go for road
I ain't getting no
glide.
gold wing.
Nah, road glide.
A road glide.
Road glide. Pen got that Road King like he thought he was 20 years old.
I know, man. Well, I was gonna get the road glide, but I saw that $40,000 price tag. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go get to this $22,000 bike.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah, they didn't really rose them prices on Harley, man. When I bought mine, the new one was like 27 out the door.
Even the used ones now. Even the used ones
are expensive.
Yeah,
was a brand. That was 2005. That was a 2000.
People know what they're going for, so they raising the prices on the used
for
ones.
27. So now,
I'm sitting here looking at 15,000, and this one is a 2003. I'm like, what the hell?
No, you don't know what they're gonna. There is the market is everywhere with a Harley. People just sell them for what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you look at it, like there is no reasoning to a Harley.
It really ain't. It really ain't. That's why I'm taking my time, man. I'm gonna take my time and just kind of look around. And
now I'm like, hey, man, you gonna take
my ears to the network.
I'll be like, hey, you gonna take this $6,000 or what? That's all I got.
That's what I'm here to do. Come show up with $6,000.
Yeah. All I'm do put some more miles on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's only got 300,000 miles on it. Don't worry about it.
Take this.
I put new brakes on it last week.
Mara, what was one of the funniest things that you seen while you was experiencing DJing overseas?
The funnest thing?
Funniest or some of the wildest things?
So, I DJ'd at a beach one time, and I don't know if people know this, but in Italy, they do have some new beaches, not a lot of them, but you don't have to wear a top, and when you at the thing, so I'm sitting there playing music and DJing, and I look out in the audience, and it was a bunch of women with no tops on. I wasn't ready. I was not ready for that. I'm not going to elaborate that because you said our kids got to watch this, but I wasn't ready for that. That's all I can say.
Yeah. What do you think the stereotype military gets that civilians get it wrong every time?
I can give you a lot of stereotypes when it comes down to riggers.
Let me get one.
You ever heard the Mickey Mouse urban legend?
No.
You never heard that when somebody opened up their log record book and it said Mickey Mouse? You never heard that urban legend? So there's this urban legend where there was, you every now and then you get somebody decide to tell this story where they were sitting there getting ready to jump, and then they open up their log record book and it said Mickey Mouse on it. And then they all, there was something wrong with the parachute. They took it down and the lines was cut and, all kind of stuff like that. I hear these urban legends. I hear these stories all the time. If you're a rigger, you know that can't happen. It's impossible. And if you look at it, when you pack a parachute, like you got the E4 and below packing a parachute, at the end of the table, you have an E5 that's an inspector. And every time he gets to a certain point, and depending on the parachute, every time they get to a certain point, they call rigger. That E5 has to come down and he has to inspect that one part, and then they go on and they keep on, they keep on packing. And when that parachute is done, it's inspected by that E5, and it's what's called rigger. Well, it's not rigger roll yet. But at that point, he's done. He's inspected, and he takes that and he moves it on to a table where the E6 rigger rolls it and inspects it again. From that point, they take those parachutes and they put them inside of a cage and they lock it inside of that cage. I mean, it's a cage. It's a big box that's in the cage with a lock on there. That cage gets put inside of another room where it has to have two lock entries. So you got to have one lock to get in, one lock to get to that place in there, and then another lock to unlock that cage to get in and do that. When those parachutes come out before they're issued to the packing CO, they're inspected again. They inspect them again before they issue out those parachutes. They get inspected again. Once that happens, and then the parachute goes to the parachute NCO, the parachute NCO issues it out to all the jumper. What happens again? They inspect it again before you jump it. So those stories that you hear a lot where people are telling these urban legends about how the lines get cut and all these other stuff, the chances of that is almost impossible because that parachute got inspected so many times, has so many chances. First of all, you can't pull out your log record book. You know what I'm saying? You're not even allowed. If you're not a rigger, you're not even allowed to pull out your record. You're not even qualified to pull out your record. So you can't pull out a log record book. So when I hear all of these stories, I hear a lot of these things. So I hear a lot of urban legends when it comes down to that. A lot of people don't understand what goes on in the rigger world. A lot of people don't understand that we have life-saving equipment. The reason why we get drug tested so much is because we have life-saving equipment. The people who you have, we have to jump so much to make sure that those parachutes are good for when y'all get ready to jump, when everybody ready to jump. So it's a lot that goes into the safety, and it's very meticulous, it's very detailed, and it's a lot that goes in there to make sure ensuring that those parachutes are safe for when the people to get ready to jump them.
Gotcha.
Mario, if you could sit down with one historical figure, military or not, who would it be, and would you think you would ask them?
Alive or dead?
Don't matter.
If I had the opportunity to sit down with somebody and really just kind of chop it up, I think it would be Barack Obama. I think that is, you can say whatever you want to say about the man. The man is super intelligent. I think that he has a lot of wisdom, and he has a lot of, you can talk about politics and you can hate his politics, or you can disagree with his policies and all this stuff, but the man is super intelligent. I think that if I had an opportunity to sit down with somebody, I would definitely want to sit down and have a conversation with that guy about the world.
What about you, Penn?
Me?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Man, I would say the same answer, bro. Seriously.
Jesus Christ.
Cool. Yeah.
What would you benefit from that conversation? What do you feel like you can get out of that conversation? I'm an interview person now.
What would I get? Just to be in his presence. That's the only thing. Maybe I'd ask him some questions about life and everything, but just to be in his presence. That's it.
Yeah, same with me. I just probably ask him just some simple questions, man. See what the answer would be. Ain't too much craziness you can really ask about life. Just the most, how do you do it? What's the purpose?
I think that's what all of us want to know. I think most people in life, you want to know, what is this for? You know, why are we here? I think, that's the number one question in life everybody wants to know.
Yeah. It seems
But
like
to me,
that's,
I think it's nothing better than sitting down with knowledge, having a profound conversation with somebody who has a vast amount of knowledge that, where they have the opportunity to kind of give you other insights that you may or may not have saw. I enjoy that. I enjoy a nice, stimulating conversation with somebody.
Oh, 100%. It's a conversation with substance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can walk away from it with something.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
What's one thing about military life in the movies you think movies and TVs get it wrong all the time?
I think one of the reasons people think that we just sit around the campfire singing Kumbaya is because of stuff that's on TV. But what? I think the thing that irritates me the worst on the military, why can't they wear their uniforms, right? Why don't they ever just one time, I want to see them ACUs where they didn't take that top collar and wrap it around their neck. That's just one time I want to see folded down. I want to see.
Well, I think
they're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to. If you've never served, you have to have some deficiency with the uniform when you wear it. I think that's a thing. Don't quote me on that. I've just heard it before.
I've heard it. I know that they can't wear some of the patches and stuff like that, insignia and stuff like that. Which is understandable. But even if they wear the plain uniform with nothing on it, they don't even have a rank, or they got the rank but they identified it wrong. Where you see somebody you see a young guy coming back with a sergeant major rank on, and they salute him.
So one thing that may have to do with it is that all military branches have licensings to all of their military insignia, patches, whatever they use. Like, they have the full license and rights for it. So even if you wanted to try to emulate that, you have to contact.
Well, even besides that, I think that if you're gonna do a movie and you want it to be authentic, I think you do need to do your due diligence and do some research. I think that if you're sitting there, you taking this guy and he's 18 years old and he's wearing sergeant major rank and people are saluting him, that's something that you should have done the research. At least have the opportunity to sit down with somebody tell you don't salute a sergeant major, or there's no way that this young guy is wearing that rank, things like that. So if they had an opportunity to sit there and you can make a movie, take your time, do the research, so you can understand, at least get a subject matter expert. If you're going to represent the military, at least get a subject matter expert, especially if that's a big part of your movie. Just get a subject matter expert where somebody can come in and tell you, no, that's wrong. Don't do that. Because people are going to watch that. And to a certain extent, it does offend some military. It does offend some veterans.
Yeah, especially the jargon they use. Oh, I get so mad when, we would never say that. What are they talking about?
Yeah, it's just a lot of the things, feeling, seeing soldiers and interacting in ways we would never interact, or doing things that we would never do. Seeing soldiers show up in formation with earrings on and stuff like that, and having 5 gold chains on it at PT and all of them wearing different uniforms, just stuff that you would never see, that can't happen. I think that if you're gonna make a movie, take the time, do the research, and it may not be that important to you, but it's important to the people who have lived that life.
Yeah,
definitely through some of those experiences.
Definitely agree with that. Imari, you've seen all levels of leadership. In your own words, what's the difference between a boss and a leader?
So, a leader, I think that the primary thing is that, it's one thing to be in charge, is another thing to lead. These are two separate things. Being in charge of somebody doesn't mean you're a leader. It's not automatic. Being a leader, your first and the most primary function that you should have is everybody that works under you, you should be training them to take your job one day. Yeah. That's the basic definition of leadership right there, to me, is that you should be training them to do everything that you know how to do. So one day when you move on, they have the opportunity to move up. If you're leading for the purpose of being in charge so you can dictate things, that's just a dictator. That's not a leader. You're just forking out orders. A leader is somebody who wants people to progress. They want them to get better. They thrive, and more than that, a leader inspires. It inspires people to want to do the things that they wouldn't normally do if they didn't have that person as their leader. So if you have a true leader, inspires people to want to do things and make you want to do things and make you want to push when you don't want to push. You know what I mean? That's what a leader does.
The first thing I asked myself when I say I want to be a leader, I first ask myself, where am I leading the people to? Because that's going to define your leadership. And what skill am I leading? What is it? What am I doing to lead this person? Where am I leading them to? Once you've answered that question, then you figure out which, the training that you need for yourself to get to make sure you could pass that down.
And I think that true leaders need to have empathy, because a lot of people don't realize that the soldiers or the people who work under you, they can do their job without you, but you can't do your job without them. So if you don't have basic empathy to understand what the people that you're leading, what they're going through, if you don't have that basic empathy, then you can't truly lead somebody if you don't care about them.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that.
Remember when we were young soldiers and we used to have those E5s, or the people that barely was on top of us, they used to tell us, don't get mad, get promoted. Remember that term, that don't get mad. I think that I had this E5 explain that to me differently, because at some point, sometimes, most of the time, they would just rub it in your face. They would tell you, don't get mad, get promoted. But this one guy, he explained it to me when he said it. He said that if you have opportunity to be a leader, and if you're sitting there and you're that young and you don't like your leadership, you don't like what they're teaching you, then you need to put yourself in a position. Don't get mad, get promoted. Put yourself in a position to lead soldiers the right way. Gandhi always said that be the change that you want to see. So if you want to change things, you need to be that change. So don't get mad, get promoted, and become a leader and do things the right way, and teach the soldiers behind you how to do things the right way, so they can inspire a whole new generation of leaders, and not these little petty little E5s that we couldn't stand when we was going up through the ranks.
Okay.
Hey, no disrespect to the E5s. Listen, the E5 is the hardest job in the whole entire army, because you're getting it from up here and you're getting it from down there. E5 is but that's where you learn. That's where you learn how to grind. That's why you learn how to get it together as an E5. If you got a good leaders in front of you when you're E5, you're gonna do great, because that's the beginning right there as an E5.
I definitely agree with the E5. That's them the bosses and the leaders.
Yep,
that's the one at E5, because they got to be the
hardest job. I don't care where you start E3 or anything. The hardest job in the army is the E5.
E5, you literally got to embody.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You got to, at that point, you got to embody. You got to be the example, because, like you said, you coming from the bottom, trying to make it to the top.
Exactly. That's the hardest job in the army. So much respect to all the young E5s out there. Get it done. So when you get up there, you got the foundation already built, and you can start moving up.
Hey, man, it's been a good one, Imari, man. We really appreciate you coming on, brother.
Hey, man, I really appreciate y'all having me, man. When y'all came to me and told me, man, I really felt blessed to kind of be a part of that. Y'all did, that y'all had, that y'all gave me that love enough to be over there, come on to y'all show, man.
Absolutely. We like to highlight everyday heroes, and you're where the rubber meets the road, man. So, we definitely wanted to get you on. You got anything closing, John?
Yeah, man. Imari, brother, I thank you for coming on the show. And the reason why, I asked you, like you said, you're an everyday hero, man. You're the family man, you're an educated man, a hardworking man, and you just find, no matter what it is, you keep going. You keep going. Oh yeah. So I was like, the people that come on this show, I feel are the example, because the idea of there's life after boots. And that's the name of, and that's the segment of this. And for you to keep having so many things, going race car with your son, going camping with your family, like you just, there is no limit to love. There is no limit to education. There's no limit to leading. And you lead your family. At this point, you're leading your family. You've always been a leader to me, man. So I appreciate
my mom used to say, you ball till the wheels fall out.
Hey.
Right.
All right, man. Hey, we're gonna thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget, stay swaggy, stay strong, y'all. Peace.
Why you over here doing it? Why you over here saluting?